I want to have a quick conversation about Square loans, and a lot of entrepreneurs are really perplexed when it comes to Square loans. And into this conversation, I really want to clarify terms and conditions for everybody out there who is interested in Square loans. Okay, let's first define what Square loans really are. So, if you think about Square, I want you to think about a popular provider of mobile point of sale systems. Okay, so and that's number one. And number two, Square actually is great also when it comes to website design. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to have an online presence, Square is a platform that can really help you go online, have an online presence real fast. Okay. So if you think about Square, think about that. Think about primarily a POS provider, so mobile point of sale, and then finally you have a digital platform. And what Square does pretty well is that they allow merchants and other businesses to process debit and credit card sales. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Square you don't have to be registered on Square. You can buy their POS and process your customer orders that way. Okay, so the company's POS units include a chip readers and other modern technology to handle payments, all kinds of payments, even when you go to flea markets. If you haven't, if you are mobile, let's say you're trying to really process transactions even in the mountains or in the rural area, Square can really help you. So the POS is pretty great. And basically, about 10 years ago, the company began offering small business financing to complement its services. Nowadays, it's actually a major provider of merchant cash advance products. So that's really good, okay? And so they actually process all the loans through their Square Capital unit. So if you think about Square, think about the digital platform. But if you think about Square loans, think about Square Capital. That's where you actually get the loan, and this is actually you can actually get anywhere from $300 to $250,000. So that's pretty good. I mean, looking if you think about 300 to a quarter of a million, that's a pretty good range. If you are an entrepreneur and you're trying to really finance your business through Square loans, that's really fantastic. So, how do you qualify for Square Capital loans? By the way, Square loans and Square Capital loans mean the same thing. Okay, so basically, this loan actually is invite only. So you can't just get up there and just apply for Square loans. You need to receive an invite from them to actually apply. And that means what? It means that you must be using the Square POS for them to see your transactional value, your transactional trains, your transactional value, to see that you are making sales. And based on your sales data, they will give you a loan. They will offer you a loan, if you will. Okay. So you got to have an account to become eligible. Now, one thing I want to say here is that you don't need to really register for anything. Just start using a Square POS account, okay? And then from there, they will track your data. They will track your company's data, and they will make a determination based on your transactional amounts. Now, there are other important factors for you to consider if you're interested in applying for Square loans this year. So once you actually pass the initial eligibility requirements, meaning you got to have a Square POS, the next thing is that they look at processing volume, payment frequency, new and returning customers, and also they love growing businesses. Let me break it down. So when I speak about processing volume, your business needs at least $10,000 in annual sales through Square to qualify. Not just $10,000 in annual sales through any other provider, such as Shopify or QuickBooks. No, you got to process those sales through Square. That's the only way they can be sure that you are indeed meeting that requirement. So it has to be processed through Square. Payment frequency. So frequent payments on a steady basis help improve eligibility. So if you want to increase your eligibility odds, make sure that your payments are frequent. Also, Square looks for a business with a healthy customer mix in terms of new and returning customers. Okay, and one thing I want to say also is that Square Capital does not lend to businesses that have multiple chargebacks in their Square account have recently experienced a decrease in Square sales, take advantage of Square advances by swiping their own cards, okay, and are not in good standing with a current or previous Square Capital loan. So if you can actually have 2 or 3 consecutive Square Capital loans, but you have to make sure that you are actually in good standing with all those loans. So one thing you need to understand here is that Square is constantly changing its business loan requirements based on the economy, based on their needs, based on customer needs, based also on the competition, because they have competition from Stripe, competition from Shopify, competition from QuickBooks. I've actually reviewed all those providers on this show. So if you think about Square loans, I want you to think about a repayment process that's kind of similar to a merchant cash advance. Okay, that's what the repayment structure looks like. So instead of actually, one thing I want to say here is that even though it looks like a merchant cash advance, Square does things a little differently. Instead of deducting payments as a fixed percentage of daily debit and credit card sales, payments are only deducted from your daily debit and credit card sales processed through Square. Okay, and so Square having like a model that's kind of similar to a merchant cash advance, they charge a factor rate. So instead of a traditional interest rate or APR, they charge a one-time flat fee called the factor rate. And Square factor rates range from 1.1 to 1.16, so that's 10% to a 16%. And factor rates work by multiplying the loan amount by the factor, right? Let's say you got 100,000 at a factor of 1.12. This means that you basically are the full amount is $112,000. So the interest, the cost of borrowing the money will be $12,000. Okay, this is actually a one time fee. Okay, so this is not an ongoing interest rate that you pay. Now, the percentage of daily sales that go towards repayment is sometimes called the holdback rate. And the holdback rate for a Square business loan usually falls between 8% and 15%. If 8% and 15%. So that's really good. So how do you apply for a Square loan? Well, I think I've said this before that you cannot just on an unsolicited basis go and apply for a Square loan. Okay, you got to receive an invite. So this is an invite only. Okay, so you got to be a current Square seller to actually qualify. And but the process is pretty streamlined. You will receive an email and Square dashboard notification when you become eligible. So when you actually log into your Square account, check your dashboard and see all kinds of notifications that you get from Square. If you get an invite, that's where you are going to see it. If you use the app, you will also see the notification through the app. Okay, and it's a pretty like you can't miss it. You can't miss it. So once you actually become eligible, you want to accept the invitation. So eligible Square customers can accept the invite on the account dashboard, and you also have the possibility to customize your offers. The cool thing is that once Square determines that you are eligible, they basically give you more latitude. They give you more leeway for you to customize your offer to make sure the offer really fits your spending needs, your business needs, and that kind of stuff. Okay, so the loan invite includes the borrowing amount Square offers. You cannot request more than the offer, but you can request less. So you want to use the slider to determine your borrowing amount. Okay, let's say they're offering to give you $100,000. You can say, you know what, I only need $77,000, but you can't say, well, I need 125. Okay, and you also have so the third step is you have a final approval. So once everything is fine, you are basically able to make it through the whole process real fast. Okay, so Square actually has a financial unit called Square Financial Services, which is a Utah chartered industrial bank, member of FDIC. So basically, they will verify your business financial info. They may ask you to upload additional info like proof of your EIN, for instance. That way, you have a pretty clear idea. This is a solid lender. Okay. Now, post funding, your loan agreement with Square will specify a repayment start date. What happens here is that the company will begin deducting a fixed percentage of your daily card sales as repayment on that day. So that's really something to really think about. And you have the possibility to actually monitor that repayment schedule, but just make sure that you plan accordingly ahead. So, what are the advantages of Square loans? If you think about Square loans, what kind of advantages should you be thinking about this year? Well, the business loan may be your most accessible and affordable financing option if you use Square to process payments. And if you think about it, the factor rate is not really that high. I mean, if you look at 1.16, for instance, 16%, that's pretty decent, okay? Or 10% or 12%. And especially given that there is no minimum credit score or time in business. Okay, so that's really unheard of in the business lending industry. But Square is able to do that because they care most about the revenue. They don't care that much about the rest. Okay, and so once you find out that you are eligible, you don't have to fill out an application, provide documentation, or speak to a representative. You just review your offers and pick one. Okay. So what happens here is that Square already has your data. I mean, they have your revenue data. They have maybe your business data, your EIN, all that kind of stuff. They already have it. So for them, they don't really need that much from you. The loan also doesn't require collateral or a personal guarantee. So you're not really putting your personal assets on the line if something were to happen. Okay. So that's a great thing because you are able to get things done faster without exposing yourself personally to liabilities. And Square Capital does not charge a prepayment penalty also. So you will not save on interest by paying early, but that's better than being charged for paying early, okay? So what are the disadvantages here when it comes to Square Capital loans? Well, the maximum is 250,000, okay? You got to be a customer, and when you make lots of sales, you pay more, and vice versa. The same system applies to Square's business loans, but only to a certain point. So just be aware of that possibility. So, what are the pros and cons here? If you think about Square loans this year, what are the pros? So, the pros first. One thing I want to say is that the pros I'm about to give you are applicable to all kinds of it doesn't matter the economy, whether you have an up economy or down economy. Those pros and cons always are constant. Like the pros, you have easy and convenient funding program for eligible Square sellers. If you use Square, you want to go through this Square loans program. Okay, don't try to really go through Shopify or QuickBooks or Toast. No, you want to go through Square. And you also have flexible eligibility requirements. As a matter of fact, you don't have a lot of requirements when it comes to eligibility, actually. You have automatic repayments, so that's kind of cool because you have the possibility to repay real fast. And also, Square loans are less expensive than traditional merchant cash advances. I mean, that's really important if you were to look at it that way, that you are able to actually get funded real fast based on your revenue data that you already have anyway. And you don't have to supply because the provider, Square in this case, already has that data. They have access to that data already. On the flip side, when you think about Square loans, you want to think about a funding program that's available exclusively, okay, to Square customers. I think I've said this before, but it is. I mean, some borrowers might feel excluded, but hey, listen, that's how Square actually is able to let's say draw a certain clientele, right? And basically, there is no process to apply for a loan or appeal loan decisions. So basically, once they actually have set the maximum loan amount, you can't go beyond that. So which could be a little, I would say, problematic in some cases, especially if you want more, if you want like a higher amount, they just telling you no, we can't really do it because loans cap out at $250,000. Okay, so this is I mean 250 is still a lot of money, but there are some cases where you might need more cash to actually implement the strategy that you have in mind. So when you think about Square Capital in general, you have to really understand that basically Square does not specify how many times you can take out a loan. And so loans are renewable when you are close to paying off your first loan in full. So theoretically, you can keep taking out Square loans as long as you continuously become eligible for renewals. And also, you have to have an account in good standing for Square to really trust you. Okay. And one thing I want to say also is that when it comes to Square loans, you have to understand that if you do not want to really, let's say you do not qualify for Square Capital, Square loans, right? They haven't sent you an offer in the last, say, 6 months or 6 years for that matter. You always have the option to actually go apply for, you can apply for a regular loan, a regular business loan. Don't think that don't really kill yourself hoping to get an offer from Stripe from Square, and they do not really do make the first move. Okay, so you have banks, you have credit unions. As a matter of fact, you also have specialized lenders. So based on your industry, for instance, you can go to a specialized lender, let's say an alternative lender, to kind of help you out. So that's how you can really increase your chances of having your loan approved. Okay. One thing I want to say also is that you have to understand that the process for getting a Square loan is not actually a streamlined process. Okay, so that's really cool. But one thing I need to say before closing to this conversation is that if for any reason you do not get an invite from Square, you always have the possibility to contact Square Capital. You can contact them through regular customer service phone number and really just tell them that you have good sales, you have good sales data, you have good traction, you have good momentum in your sales, in your revenue, in your cash inflows, and you will love to have an offer from Square. And they will take a look at your account, and a customer service rep will it depends though, but they may be able to do something for you. So, in conclusion to this conversation, I spoke to you about Square loans. I defined for you what those loans are. How do you qualify for one? How do you apply? What are the advantages and the disadvantages? What are the pros and cons of Square loans? Thank you so much. God bless you. I will see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.